Hey guys, how's it going? So this week there's not a ton going on in the normal tennis world. We have some WTA tournaments in Asia, a couple of men's tournaments in Europe. But what I wanted to focus on this week is the Laver Cup and basically what a scam I think it is. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Laver Cup, it's named for Rod Laver. He's a legendary Australian player. Um, Other than his name, though, it really has zero connection to him. And basically, what it is this kind of weird hybrid of um, team tennis and sort of like Davis Cup style, like you know, country line. It's like one geographic team versus the other, um, and almost like the year-end championships where you have all the top players in this very sort of theatrical type of scenario, type of setting. But I want to just run through why I think the Laver Cup is just something we don't need, and it's really kind of not helping the sport at all. Um, so just to kind of get you up to speed, the Laver Cup, this is its third year in existence. Um, and it's actually the brainchild of Tony Godsick, who is Roger Federer's agent. And it's always a little scary when an agent, when, like a business guy comes up with an idea for something, because you know that the first goal is probably not going to be, advancing the sport or making the sport more accessible to people. It's probably going to be about money. And that's what I think it is. So basically, what you have is this very bizarre kind of setup where you have two teams. As you can see here, there's Team Europe, which is obviously players from Europe, and then everybody else, which is Team World. And I'm sure they probably thought a lot about how they were going to do this. Um, it's such a weird, sort of arbitrary dividing line, Europe versus the world. Um, and also, what's very strange about it and what's very unfair, if you actually care about the outcome, is that for now in the foreseeable future, all of the very best players will be from Europe. And the rest of the world is really just kind of second tier. In fact, if you take a look at the players, Team Europe, you've got Nadal, Federer, Thiem, Zverev, Tsitsipas, Fonini. These are all top 10 players. I think Fonini is the lowest ranked, and he's number 11. And then when you look at Team World, well, you got the B team. Isner, Raonic, Kyrgios, Shapovalov, Sock, Fritz. I mean, again, all good players, but the odds just really aren't in their favor. But let's forget about whether it's fair or not. Let's just talk about why the Laver Cup exists. To me, it really exists to make money for the players and for the organizers. I mean, it's interesting. Last year, the Laver Cup was in Chicago, and just for curiosity, just for shits and giggles, I checked into ticket prices to see if maybe it was worth a trip to Chicago to see some great players. And I kid you not, the starting prices for like nosebleed tickets were something like $200, which to me is just obscene. I mean, when you charge 200 and up for tennis tickets, you're basically, that to me is a step backwards. You're basically making tennis an elite sport that only the rich can afford to play and to watch. You're not opening the sport up to other people or to people who are disadvantaged or to people who would really love to take part but just can't afford it. So that's my first issue. The second is that you would think with something this huge that is raising this much money that there would be, I don't know, like some kind of philanthropic tie-in. If it has this whole like kind of geographic, Europe versus the world, if that's the theme, I don't know, maybe you have like a charity or some kind of organization or foundation that's tied to it that promotes, world peace or helping refugees or just do some kind of good in this world. But instead, I just think, it's a cash cow. Um, And also, if the idea is to encourage, I mean, I have nothing. I absolutely love the idea of making tennis more of a team sport and less of an individual sport. And I'm all for people getting excited about players from their country doing well, because that's how it works. We're human. We are attracted to certain players, and we love our country, and we root for some teams and not others. Um, but that already exists. It's called Davis and Fed Cup, and there's also a kind of a revamped version of Davis Cup called the ATP Cup, which is premiering this year, where you have countries competing against countries. Um, and to be honest, I think the Olympics also kind of gets tennis wrong. I wish it were more of a team sport in the Olympics, but rather it's just individual players or doubles pairs, sort of competing on behalf of their country, but it's really all about them. I would love to see uh, tennis be more of a team sport, like in World Team Tennis, where really everyone's contribution matters. Where you're playing a match, but your matches earn your team points, and you're never really sure like where you're netting out. You can be ahead, but then your team can have a bad day, and you can be behind. And yes, that is the format of the Laver Cup, but again, it's already been done, and this to me, it's just kind of it's an exhibition. There's not a whole lot on the line, and this kind of artificial separation of Europe and world is just kind of silly. Um, so yeah, I turned on Tennis Channel. It was on. I watched a little bit. I mean, these are great players. It's hard to not watch, but I just think there's no need that's being filled with the Laver Cup, and I just don't think it needs to exist. The one just interesting highlight about something that happened, Jack Sock. I mean, I have to hand it to John McEnroe, who's the world team, the captain for Team World, because captains get to pick three of the six members of the team. I'm sure Sock is one of the people he made the decision to pick. Sock has, after having a pretty good career and actually being in the top 10 at one point, his career just like fell off a cliff. He continued to do well in doubles, but he literally could not win a singles match. I don't know what happened to his singles game, but it just completely went away. And I think he fell like 100 spots last year or something like that. But anyway, yesterday he played Fonini, who's a great player, and he beat him pretty easily. It was like 6-1, 7-6. So if there's one little highlight or interesting tidbit that's coming out of the Laver Cup, it's Jack Sock kind of getting his act together and winning a singles match. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the Laver Cup. I'd love to know what you guys think. Do you support it? Do you enjoy it? Do you think it's a scam? If you like what you heard, please give a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed, please do. All right, guys. Until next time, have a good weekend.